Well, everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and this is a special edition of Ask Your Wasteland Reviewer as I celebrate 1,000 subscribers. And it might not seem like a lot, but I've been doing this for 6.5 years, and I've never been a big growth channel. And, I do my thing. I really enjoy doing this. And if I didn't, I wouldn't spend all the time doing this. But I really started doing this to connect with people, talk movies. And I feel very blessed to have been able to connect with so many people over the years, make new friends, and really grow a sense of community when it comes to a love for film. And I've expanded what I do on my channel. I do some shows now that I absolutely love doing with Welcome to the Wasteland and with my dives into particular directors and with Lost in the Wasteland, where I love to be able to interview people and get a better sense of their perspective on movies. And this was always very exciting, being able to do these Q&A videos so you get to know me a little bit. I know almost all of these questions are focusing on movies and stuff like that. But in the past, people have asked some other things and gotten to know me a little bit better as well. But I'm excited to talk about all these wonderful questions that so many people provided for me to do this Q&A video for Wasteland Talks, my weekly talk show where I talk about whatever the hell I want. So this week it is my Ask Your Wasteland reviewer. I think this is like the 13th of these that I've done over the years. And hopefully you enjoy getting to know a little bit more about me. And to celebrate 1,000 subscribers, and I hope it's just the first of multiple thousands of subscribers that I get over time. But starting things off, I have a series of questions about some of my setup and stuff like that. I've been asked what my viewing setup is, and it's very interesting because I am the kind of person that will watch movies whenever, wherever. So yes, I do watch films and screeners and stuff like that on my phone. I have an iPhone, I think it's 11, iPhone, and I'll watch it if I'm on the go. Like if I'm in between like work and going to see a movie and I have time and I could just time to kill to watch it on my phone, I will. I'll watch it on my laptop, which I have an very cheap Acer laptop that once I do have some money to save up to get a new laptop, I'm going to really invest in something nice, good for editing all these videos, a lot of extra RAM, because I have to keep deleting things off of this a lot. But my basic viewing setup at home is I do have about a 50-inch 4K TV. I do have a sound bar, but like my cats mess with it so much that all the settings get messed up and it's hard to get it back synced to my TV. And that's kind of annoying. So a lot of the times I just don't use the sound bar, but I do have a 50-inch 4K TV and it does its job. I enjoy having the smart TV so I could have all my apps on it. We do have an Apple TV as well, which that's usually where I put all my screener apps. So makes it a little bit easier, even though I hate Apple remotes for Apple TV. Just give me buttons, please. I don't need all this like touch sensor crap. It's really annoying and very hard to get used to. And I've never been an Apple product person. I'm definitely a PC person if you ask. So, but I like as long as I have a big enough TV and I could play, because like I have an expanding 4K collection. There's some back there. I enjoy being able to just watch it. It's like I don't put as much effort into what the setup's like. I just love watching movies and I watch them whenever, wherever. So hopefully that answers the question. I have favorite video for my YouTube channel, and this is a tough one because there's so many things that I've done over the years and trying to think about them. I did go on a kick where I did a bunch of classic reviews for my channel, and I loved doing my Lord of the Rings videos. They were each like 14, 15, 16 minutes apiece. And I think it's because, like, you could tell I'm so passionate about them, and I love those films so much. And I feel like my passion and my personality first really started coming through on those kinds of videos. Some of my other favorites, I love Welcome to the Wasteland, and for the first bit of that series, I was just flying solo, talking to my computer like this. Some of them before I got a nicer webcam. But one of my favorite episodes of that is my No Country for Old Men episode, which I had a couple of my friends on. I had Matt and Alex from the movie club on, and I absolutely loved that discussion. We went to town. We talked quite a bit, and I thought that was a fantastic discussion, and I really enjoyed that a lot. I also had a ton of fun with my Eyes Wide Shut episode with Frank, Vinny, and Aaron, some of the Sif Pop people. That was just an absolute blast. I loved every second of that, and every time Frank took a drink and just dropped a gem of a quote to throw in there on the episode. But a lot of those, and I've gotten a chance to interview a few people. One in particular was getting to interview Terry Crews, even though it was like for 4 minutes. But it doesn't matter to me. That was pretty great. And some of the directors, like I got to interview the crew that did Drop Death, Gorgeous, and I loved that. They were so wonderful to get a chance to chat with. And like I got to interview Preston and Wee Man from Jackass. That was amazing. That is a special moment. Now, I did get asked when I'm going to focus on Kevin Smith's filmography on Welcome to the Wasteland. I'm taking this as an opportunity to explain my process. So hopefully this answers this question, because I'm using a cycle to choose which directors I do next. So originally, I just picked the Coen brothers to start. They were my favorite directors, and I wanted to go through all their filmography. I had watched every single one of their films already, so that wasn't a heavy lift. Then I did Kubrick, who's my second favorite filmmaker. So it was just going along that lines. And then I'm like, what if, because this is when people started actually coming on and wanting to talk about these movies with me, what if I let this up to people on Instagram to vote? So we did a 64 director tournament, and Martin Scorsese won. And then I expanded it to 128 directors the next time, and Steven Spielberg won. So basically my process will be, I'll do a tournament, and then I'll do a tournament that focuses on all the directors. If I could squeeze in, like right now, I've had 150 something directors involved in some shape or form for these tournaments. So I'll do that. Then I'll do, you all nominate the directors for this tournament, which is how John Carpenter got picked for my next one. Then I'm going to randomly select a director. And I'll tell you all now, I did randomly select who will be coming after John Carpenter, and it will be John Ford. And John Ford has 80 films that are accessible to be able to watch. So that's going to take me until the end of 2024, which is insane, getting some of these bigger directors out of the way with these impressive filmographies. And then I'm going to handpick, which this will be so far into the future, but it's going to be Wes Anderson, who's my next favorite filmmaker. And then I'll come back to the tournaments where you all decide. So if you want Kevin Smith on there, go out and vote, campaign, make sure you get the director that you want to see. It works. The campaigning works. Just ask my brother. That's how John Carpenter got picked, which I am very excited about doing my John Carpenter episodes. But that's a little bit about how Welcome to the Wasteland is going to work moving into the future. So, hey, if you like John Ford films and you want to get a jump on calling some of them, put them in the comments, message me, let me know. How many movies have I seen? That is a very good question. I have watched over 700 films this year in 2022 that were released this year. I watched over 700 films released the year before. And I've watched hundreds of films released each of the years from 2016 until now. So those are thousands of movies just released since 2016. I own 1,855 films as of right now in my collection, and I've seen plenty more that I don't own. So let's just say I've seen thousands upon thousands of films, and I will continue to see thousands upon thousands of films because I love film. And I'll watch anything at least once. Probably wouldn't watch everything again, but at least I'll watch everything at least once. So to answer that question, a lot. I've watched a lot of movies. My Letterboxd, if anybody's interested, I I might go back and delete a bunch of entries because at first I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna randomly pick all these movies that I've seen, and then I realized I wanted to use it as a record of the new films that I've watched, and now I kind of wish that I didn't have all those older ones on there. I might go back and delete them, and just so that it's a fresh look at all the films that I watch. And that's basically how I use Letterboxd. So most of the Letterboxd films, the vast majority of them are just things that I've watched in the past couple years since I've got one. Now, greatest challenge with the channel, picking up an audience, honestly. And, I put out a ton of content, and that's one approach. And might not be the best approach, but it's what I've been doing. And maybe I would fine tune exactly what I do on this channel a little bit more if it were this was my primary focus. But like I have a full-time job at a university running a tutoring center and a whole bunch of other stuff. And then I also adjunct as a part-time job. So I teach at that university too. So it's like this isn't my main priority. I'm also married now. So like I have other things, but with this channel, I think the biggest challenge has been getting an audience. It took me 6.5 years to get 1,000 subscribers. But some of my videos have blown up. I remember that COVID special that South Park did. I got 6,000 plus views on it. Like I was getting thousands of views that day I posted it. That was exciting. There's definitely been at least a dozen times over the past 6.5 years where I almost gave up and just were like, I'm done. It's not worth it anymore. I do think that I've gotten so much more growth since I've been involved with Sif Pop and Scribe and making connections with people and getting the word out there. But I think the biggest challenge is getting an audience, getting subscribers, and maybe someday I'll be monetized and get some money back. But like I do this because I love it. So it's been the challenge is getting an audience and then really continuing to find the motivation to keep doing this. And I think now it's like, I don't know, I'd be really weird if I didn't do this anymore. And I absolutely love it. So I've overcome a lot of challenges. And I'm going to continue to do it. Have I ever walked out of a theater? No. I have never once walked out of a movie at a theater. Have I turned off a movie at home? Very, 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 very rarely. Generally, I want to see it to the end. I'm watching a film. The film deserves that at least, I guess. And I've never once walked out of a theater. Have I thought about it? Yeah. Have I? No. So there's definitely been times where I'm like, I hate this movie. I hate this movie so much, but I didn't leave. I wanted to stay into the end because I feel like if I don't watch the whole entire film, I have no right to put my thoughts out on it. So the important thing is to stick it out. There have been the one time, so this is a fun little story. The one time that I left the movie early was not my choice, but I was 10 and I had a basketball game. But my aunt's like, I'm gonna take you to the movies first. And she didn't check the runtime of Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. She didn't realize it was a 3-hour movie. So he's like, oh, we have to go. I'm like, it's in the middle of the movie. And the last thing I saw was Frodo getting stabbed by the cave troll. Didn't know Frodo survived, and didn't know that there was a whole other hour of that movie, and I missed a giant fire demon. And I'm just like, I was very disappointed. But that's the only time I've actually walked out and not finished a movie. But that wasn't my choice, so I'm not really going to count that, but fun little story for you. Films I'm excited for in 2023. There's so many films to be excited about next year. Killer of the Flower Moon is definitely my top, which I'm a huge fan of Scorsese. I'm a huge fan of Westerns, and I'm fascinated with what Scorsese's going to do with this, with both De Niro and DiCaprio in the same film, and so many other great talents in the film as well. Very excited for that one to see how that turns out. I'm very excited for John Wick Chapter 4. I'm a huge John Wick fan. I'm a huge action movie fan. So I'm definitely very excited about Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 as well. So those two action films I'm super excited about. I'm excited about Quantumania and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. A little less excited about the Marvels, but maybe I'll get more excited once I get a taste of what it's going to be like. But like the ending of the Guardians trilogy with James Gunn, and then things are really ratcheting it up for Ant-Man here, coming face to face with Kang, so that's pretty exciting. And then there's a lot of other films coming out, like Barbie and Oppenheimer. What a weekend that's going to be. I'm excited for both of those films, and I think it's going to be a fantastic weekend of film. But there's a lot of big things to be excited about, so those are just a few of them. Favorite fantasy film? Easy. Lord of the Rings trilogy. They're my favorite films. So that makes that a lot easier for me to figure out genre-wise what my favorite fantasy film is, because they're my favorite films. And they, I feel like, are the most perfectly balanced films ever created. They do everything so well. And it's the most fully realized fantasy world we've ever seen on screen, and one of the most amazing trilogies of films ever put to screen. I just love every second of them, and it's just an amazing experience sitting back and getting to watch The Lord of the Rings. Just bought the trilogy on 4K with both the theatrical and extended editions included, so I'm pretty excited about that. Loved as a kid, terrible as an adult. Oh, I think the couple ones, and these were like, I was a teenager, so that's the a little changing the definition there, but like, I watched Delta Farce so much. The Larry the Cable Guy, Bill Engvall, DJ Qualls comedy, so much, and I watched it. I'm just like, this is so dumb. This is so dumb. I was a big Blue Collar Comedy Tour fan growing up, so I had all the Jeff Foxworthy redneck dictionaries and everything. And Paul Blart Mall Cop. I'm overweight again, but when I was growing up as an obese kid, I saw something in Paul Blart, and that's kind of sad thinking about now. But like, I enjoyed that movie, and now I'm just like, God. And it's one of those kinds of things where it's like you watch these films and just realize like, this wasn't great. Like, two of my favorite films, my favorite movies growing up besides Lord of the Rings were League of Extraordinary Gentlemen and Van Helsing. I love those movies so much, and you watch them now, I'm like, ooh, has problems. But the thing is, it's like, I still, on some level, enjoy them. And like, hey, I watched Fantastic Four, I watched Ghost Rider, Daredevil, Punisher, all those early Marvel films in the early 2000s. And like, I just watched Ghost Rider yesterday with my friend Dave, and I'm just like, there's so many bad things about this. And just like a couple of really cool things where I'm just like, they ruined it. They spoiled it. It could have been so cool. But your taste change as you grow up. I hated Raging Bull the first time I watched it, and probably talking about that a little bit. Biggest surprises and letdowns of 2022. if somebody told me that they knew going into this year that Everything Everywhere All at Once was going to be the best film of the year, then I'd call them a liar. Everything Everywhere All at Once is 100% the biggest surprise of the year because that is something that just came out of nowhere and is absolutely amazing. And some films, like some of the littler films that I've seen, like I absolutely loved EO, the new Polish film up for Best International Film. It's about a donkey, and it's one of the most amazing films I've seen all year. Um, there's just certain films that you don't expect. Like I just loved The House, which is a strange little stop motion horror anthology film on Netflix. It came out in January. That's been riding high on my top 10 list for a long time. And there's some of those great ones. And then some of the films that really let me down, like Empire of Light, Sam Mendes and Roger Deakins, Olivia Colman, so much potential about a theater. And now it was not great. You have Amsterdam, which is, God, one of the worst wastes of an amazing cast. Um, it's one of those kinds of things that you're just like, this should have been something great. Don't worry, darling. I was very excited about that. Turned out to be a kind of a mess. And, there's a couple of films that I'm sure are going to be on people's list for like biggest disappointments that like and letdowns that like I really enjoyed Thor Love and Thunder, but you could see the fingerprints of all the things, messy things thrown on there. And that was pretty frustrating, but I enjoyed it a lot more than other people. So I don't know if I would include it there, but I'm sure plenty of people would include it on their list for biggest disappointments. But in general, I was pretty happy with a lot that I've seen here. Now, my friend Sam, who always comes to me for recommendations of shows and stuff like that. What should Sam watch next? What am I watching right now? I've been watching the show Maggie on Hulu, which is about this young woman who's a psychic who could actually see people's futures. And surprisingly, it's a little charming thing. And I'm like, okay, I'm kind of enjoying this. I can appreciate that. So might be an odd one. It's 13 episodes. It's right there on Hulu. So maybe give that one a try. I don't know. Go figure out some shows, Sam. Um, All-time favorite television show. I love answering this question because probably how most people are going to react to my answer, and that is Lost. I love Lost. I felt like I sat and watched that finale for all those hours that they had of content that night, focused specifically on Lost, and just thinking, wow, that was a really moving and impactful finale. And I loved how it all came together, and the show was really about them connecting and finding each other in the next life because the show turned out to be very, very faith based, which you knew from the start because it was always about faith that Locke had versus the reason and science that Jack had. And in the end, it turned out to be that. And it was so moving. And then I came into school the next day because this was my senior year in high school when Lost ended, and everybody was tearing it to shreds, said it was terrible. And I'm just like, did I watch a different finale than everybody else here? And that made me sad, honestly. And I'm just like, okay, well, I really liked it, and I always loved Lost, and I'll always love Lost. And yeah, there's some seasons in the middle there that got a little messed up, especially because of the writer's strike, and the show went on a lot longer than Lindenhoff wanted it to. But I still love the show, and I think it's so deeply thematic and interesting, and it is one of the craziest shows that you'll ever watch on television. So yeah, I love Lost. Did I have a Merry Christmas? I had Did a lot of running around seeing family, but my week off here in between Christmas and New Year's, like getting to watch a lot of movies, getting to relax. So I'm making the most of it. I'm enjoying it. I hope you all have wonderful holidays as well. This was a wonderful Christmas present, getting my 1,000th subscriber on Christmas Eve, so that was pretty cool. What are my Christmas morning traditions? It's been interesting because I've had so many changes in my life over the years that I don't really have a whole lot of traditions anymore when it comes to Christmas. But there are two things that I feel like I do every Christmas time. And one of them is my mom always does the seven fishes because, Italian people, Roman Catholic people, to be precise, too. And so we eat a lot of seafood on Christmas Eve. And then every year, without fail, I have to watch, whether it is on Thanksgiving, any days in between Thanksgiving and Christmas, or on Christmas, I have to watch The Muppet Christmas Carol because that is the greatest adaptation of A Christmas Carol ever. It is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's such a wonderful musical, and that's just, I watch it every year, and I've been watching The Muppets since I was a kid, and I love that film so much, and that's just part of it, and I have to watch it with my mom, and that's the most important thing, is watching that with my mom. My very specifically most surprising film of the year, Everything Everywhere All at Once. How can it be? Like, this is one of the weirdest things you'll ever watch in your whole entire life, and it's absolutely amazing from start to finish. Like, it made me go back and watch Swiss Army Man, because that was a film that I watched and was just like, I don't get it. Like, farting corpse, and then I watched them like, I get it. And the Daniels are some of the most unique creators out there and absolutely fantastic. Animated character to get a spin-off. It's my friend Joe. Which animated character would I love to see get a spin-off? And there's so many great animated shows out there, and very few of them have like spin-offs that really work. I actually really love Finding Dory a lot. And then Puss in Boots. Puss in Boots is amazing in how they made that work. And the new Puss in Boots movie is absolutely fantastic. Which, this might be a little cheap because it does have some serious recency bias here. I would love to see an adventure of Kitty Softpaws. Like, they just need to keep churning out all these spin-offs from Shrek. Spin-off of a spin-off. But Selma Hayek on her own adventure, I would love it. It would be absolutely fantastic. And, it'd be a lot of fun. And Shrek's my favorite animated film of all time. And I just would love that experience. And this would be an interesting one if they wanted to get very emotional and dramatic over at Pixar. Make a film about Boo in the time that she gets sent home and then sees Kitty again. Oh, it would be quite the just gut punch and emotional punch. So there's a couple of them. Specifically, my favorite review that I've ever done, and I do really think it is my Lord of the Rings reviews. Those 3 videos, I felt like it was some of my most passionate work, and it really came out, and I absolutely loved the experience getting to do that. And I think one of my most challenging reviews that I felt like I was pretty proud of was my Endgame review. Because, like, how do you review that and not give away anything? So that was pretty impressive, and that was a review that I wrote for Sif Pop too. And I'm like, how the hell am I supposed to write this? So, but I made it work. Who wins Best Director of this year? Steven Spielberg. Do I think he should win? He should definitely be up there. I think the Daniels better get nominated for Everything Everywhere at Once. And now I'm convinced James Cameron too, because he directed the hell out of Avatar. It's like Denis Villeneuve with Dune. It's just like, how does this even work without the amazing work of the director. But Steven Spielberg's going to win it. This is his time to get that trophy because how deeply personal this film is and how amazing it is. He would deserve it. I just think it's his time, especially with the circumstances. Who would star in my biopic? Miles Teller. The second I found out that he's 6'1", I'm like, oh, well, there you go. I'm gonna have Miles Teller star as me in my biopic. He's a Philly area kid. I'm a Philly area kid. It'd work out great. He has dark features too, even if he's not Italian. But I'm casting my own movie, so because here's the thing. There needs to be some more young Italian actors, and I have a bone to pick with you, Martin Scorsese. I love The Irishman, love that film so much. I get it. You wanted to de-age all these actors so that they could be in the whole film. You missed out an opportunity to really elevate some young Italian American actors there by playing those younger versions. But Netflix gave you the money, so I get it. It's all good. I'm not bitter. But yeah, I would pick Miles Teller, especially after like watching him in Top Gun. I'm just like, I think that would be pretty cool. I do have to see how well he could grow in the rest of his facial hair, though. Well, you could always use makeup. Just put on fake ones. Next up, what's a film that I gave another chance? Well, I talked about Swiss Army Man, but the film that I gave another chance to that I absolutely hated the first time I watched it in high school was Raging Bull. And why this is even more significant, because my good friend Joe, it's like his favorite movie, and I'm like, I hate it. Where I had some fun discussions with him when we first became friends about that. But I rewatched it for my series on Scorsese, and it was a whole other experience watching as a 30-year-old versus when I watched that when I was, I don't know, 15. I just thought it was a couple angry dudes just yelling F words at each other, and there's nothing else to the film. But there's so much to this film. Such a great film. So there you go. Who do you want to highlight on Welcome to the Wasteland? So Wes Anderson's my next favorite director that I haven't done yet. So there. But I do think that there's going to be some directors that I would love to just have discussions with people about. Bong Joon-ho. I think those episodes could be fascinating. I would love to do Jordan Peele because those episodes could be fascinating. There are a couple of quicker, smaller ones. Paul Thomas Anderson, I think, we would have such amazing conversations about just his films and the depth and how much there is to process about them. I think for me to expand my own perspective on movies, I would love to take a deep dive into Kurosawa. That would be amazing. So there's a couple of them. And now this one is from my brother, and I put a lot of thought into this. I have to recast a remake of The Big Lebowski and focusing on the three main characters, and I did throw the Jesus in there too. So, who would be the dude? Matthew McConaughey. You can't get exactly Jeff Bridges, so get a different energy of cool. You get Matthew McConaughey, and you get him like Beach Bum, and him being the dude abides, man, would be so much fun. Walter, bigger guy, full of like this manic energy. Ethan Suplee. I would love to see him, and like he's like ripped now, which is crazy, but like him with the glasses and the military fatigue looking outfit, just oh my god, I can see him just going nuts. And this was an outside the box pick, but Danny Pudi, Abed himself from Community, definitely is Donnie. And then my brother's like, it should be Donald Glover. I'm like, if it's like him from Community, I think that would actually be pretty funny too. So I think that would be a lot of fun, those three. And then Diego Luna as the Jesus, just bam, just up him right in there. But those are all the questions that I got. And here's the thing. I do more Q&A videos, so if you want to be a part of those in the future, let me know. Comment below, message me on Instagram, however you want to get those questions to me. I would love to add them onto my next Q&A video, which, unless I have a special reason to do it, will hopefully be at 2,000 subscribers. I'm not going to do the hundreds anymore. I think that was enough. So hopefully when I get to 2,000 subscribers someday, we'll be back here again with some more questions. But thank you, everybody who submitted those questions. I really appreciated it. All of my friends at Sif Pop, my close friends that I see in real life, my movie club, my wife, my brother, all of my other friends, all the wonderful people that I've connected with on Instagram, in the Filmstagram community, just everybody, thank you so much for participating and giving me these questions, and hopefully you watch this and enjoy. But thank you all always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland Reviewer.